What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Monday, November 25th, 2024, and we are back with another live here on the Torian Rain Reloaded channel. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that share button, hit the subscribe button if you are new to the channel. And if you are new to the channel, I'm glad that you are here. Don't ask me, I don't know what's going on with the notifications. There's not that many people in here right now, but we're going to get to this stream regardless. Shout out to everybody that's in here, the mods, the members, everybody who follows me on the other various platforms. I'm glad that you are all here this evening. So y'all see the title, and I told y'all about this last week that today I was going to address this about the Laken Riley situation. We're going to talk about the case as a whole, and then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of why we are all here this evening. But before we get into everything, let me go ahead and acknowledge the people who are here so far. We got Firebat, Haxon KT, Isaac George, Wallow J, and Wallow said, Miles be on alert for trolls and the lie. Guess what, Wallow, the joke's on them because I turned the thing on to subscribers only for 2 hours. So by the time this live is over, they'll have to just argue amongst themselves in the chat. Not the live chat, but in the comments, I should say. We got Miss Nisi, we get the Great Gazoo, Jesse Paris, Lewis Knowles, Irvin Green, Jay the Informant, Scylla T, Derry B, Lady Messenger, DC Precise, the First Ethnic Tutnese, and AW1. Shout out to each and every one of you. And yes, to respond to what Irvin Green said, he said it was unfortunate what happened to her, but it's foul of them to use her death as a political plot point. It is, and you're going to see exactly what I mean as I go through here, and y'all are going to understand why I say X, the platform that it is absolute garbage, especially since Elon bought it. But it provides good insight to the way a lot of people think about us. And you'll see exactly what I mean this evening, even more so with the live that I'm doing on Wednesday. That one's going to be a doozy, but let's focus on today. And oh, yes, like Tedra said in the chat, if you didn't get the notification on YouTube, make sure that you go ahead and join the Discord, and you will get the notification there from the bot that I have in my Discord. It automatically posted the second that I go live. Sometimes it doesn't, but it's very rare. 99.9% of the time, it's going to post the link automatically through the bot in my YouTube server in my Discord that I'm going live. So make sure you join that if you haven't done so already. I'll probably post that on my community tab after I'm done with this live. But anyway, I feel like I don't even have to ask anybody if they've ever heard of the Laken Riley case. But in case you have it, let me know in the chat. Just say yes if you've heard of this and put no if you haven't. Because I'll tell you, some people who did not hear about this case are the people that we're going to be talking about this evening, especially with the talking points they've been putting out there on X in particular. What's going on, Cynthia? Scylla said yes. Jesse said yes. Denise said she received notifications from Discord first. That's why y'all need to be in the Discord. First Ethnic said yes. Fire Bat said yes. Haxon 1. Denise 1. Wallow J 1. Tedro yes. Cool. All right. So it sounds to me like most of the people in here definitely know of this case, but we're going to go over it. We're going to run down everything now that the trial of the person who killed her is done. We already know what the results are, but we're going to go through and we're going to run down the case as a whole from beginning to end. And then we're going to get into the reason why we are gathered here this evening. What's going on, Dewani? So I went on here, I had to go on to Wikipedia because Wikipedia gives you the whole rundown of the situation at hand. And it's titled The Murder of Laken Riley. On February 22nd, 2024, Laken Riley, a 22-year-old Augusta University nursing student, was murdered while she was jogging at the University of Georgia in Athens, Georgia. Her body was found in Oconee Forest Park near Lake Herrick. Her death was caused by blunt force trauma and asphyxiation. The perpetrator, Jose Antonio Ibarra, is a 26-year-old Venezuelan who had entered the United States illegally. He was arrested by UGA police and was charged with 10 charges, including felony murder, malice murder, false imprisonment, aggravated assault with intent to violate, and kidnapping. Ibarra was found guilty on all charges on November 20th, 2024, and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Riley's death made international news, generating extensive media attention. It sparked a debate over illegal immigration in the United States after U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, known as ICE, confirmed Ibarra is not a U.S. citizen and was caught crossing the border, but was released into the United States. On March 7, 2024, the House of Representatives passed an immigration bill named the Laken Riley Act, requiring federal detention of illegal immigrants who commit burglary or theft. I want y'all to keep a pin in the Laken Riley Act and what it means as we go forward past this piece that I'm reading right here. So now this is just a summary. Now it's going to break it down even further. So the first tab is called victim. It says Laken Hope Riley was born January 10th, 2022 in Marietta, Georgia to Jason Riley and Allison Phillips. She had 3 siblings. In 2020, she graduated from River Ridge High School in Woodstock, Georgia, where she was a member of the cross-country team. Riley, who was 22 years at the time of her death, was a nursing student at Augusta University in Athens, Georgia, and had previously attended the University of Georgia as an undergraduate. She was an active member of Alpha Chi Omega sorority. On February 22nd, 2024, Riley went for a morning run at University of Georgia. During her attack, Riley's phone called 911. Riley was attacked and killed between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m., according to arrest warrants. At 12:07 p.m., Riley's roommate reported her disappearance to the UGA police after she did not return. At 12:38 p.m., Riley's body was discovered by UGA police in Occonee Forest Park behind Lake Herrick. Her death was caused by blunt force trauma and asphyxiation, according to Athens Clark County coroner. UGA police described Riley's murder as a crime of opportunity and reported that the killer appeared to have acted alone. There had not been a murder on the university's campus since 1983. The perpetrator was 26-year-old Jose Antonio Ibarra, a Venezuelan man who had entered the United States illegally in September 2022, crossing the United States southern border with Mexico near El Paso, Texas. He was apprehended by federal authorities after crossing the border, who subsequently released him into the country. Ibarra initially stayed at the Roosevelt Hotel migrant shelter in New York before taking a flight to Georgia. UGA police stated that he lived in an apartment complex about 1 mile from the wooded area where Riley's body was found. Ibarra had been previously arrested by both federal and state officials in multiple jurisdictions. In September 2023, Ibarra was arrested in New York City and charged with acting in a manner to injure a child less than 17 and a motor vehicle license violation. In October 2023, Jose and his brother, who was reported by authorities to be a member of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, who had temporarily worked at UGA, were arrested by Athens police on theft charges. Both were released after reportedly possessing stolen merchandise from a local Walmart. Ibarra had a bench warrant issued for his arrest in December 2023. After failing to appear in court in a shoplifting case in Georgia, ICE stated that it had missed an opportunity to detain Ibarra after an arrest in New York because he was released by New York officials before a detainer could be issued. After Riley's death, Ibarra was questioned by police after a jacket with Riley's hair was found in a dumpster near his apartment. Ibarra's roommate identified him as the man throwing away the jacket from surveillance footage of the dumpster. Police questioning Ibarra noticed red knuckles and scratches on his arm. Ibarra was subsequently arrested on murder charges. On May 8, 2024, a grand jury in Clark County indicted Ibarra with 10 charges, 3 charges of felony murder, malice murder, false imprisonment, kidnapping, aggravated assault with intent to violate, hindering a 911 call, concealing the death of another, and a peeping Tom. He pleaded not guilty to all charges. Bail was denied. The district attorney was seeking the sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. In a court filing, the defense attorney submitted a motion to move the trial to another county due to the media attention surrounding the case, but Judge H. Patrick Haggard denied it. Ibarra waived his right to a jury trial and opted for a bench trial, which began on November 15, 2024. Prosecutors presented evidence that included Ibarra's DNA under Riley's fingernails and Ibarra's fingerprint on Riley's phone screen. Ibarra's defense said that evidence against him was circumstantial. On November 20, 2024, Judge Haggard found him guilty of all charges and sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Riley's funeral was held on March 1st, 2024 at the Woodstock City Church. She was buried at Enon Cemetery in Woodstock, Georgia. Sarah Dorn, writing for Forbes, said Riley's murder became a national political case during a historic surge in border crossings during Biden's tenure. The Laken Riley case drew widespread public interest and international media attention, especially in the United States. A memorial was made for Riley at Lake Herrick. Her family said they plan to establish a foundation in her honor. Her stepfather says she will be missed every day, but we promise to honor her life moving forward in a very big way. Riley's family started an online fund to raise money for the foundation called the Laken Riley Foundation. Riley's parents, Jason and Allison, were invited to the State of the Union by Georgia Congressman Mike Collins, but they turned down his invitation. Donald Trump mentioned Riley during his speech for the Republican Party's presidential nomination. President Joe Biden mentioned the murder of Riley during the 2024 State of the Union address after Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene shouted Riley's name at the president. Biden was criticized by Democratic members of Congress for referring to Riley's suspected killer as a quote-unquote illegal instead of undocumented, for which he later expressed regret. On March 7, 2024, the House of Representatives passed the Laken Riley Act in a 251 to 170 vote, with 37 Democratic members joining all Republican members in voting for the bill. If enacted, the Laken Riley Act would mandate federal detention of illegal immigrants who commit burglary or theft and would allow states to file suit against the federal government for failing to enforce immigration laws. So that's the rundown right there of the murder of Laken Riley from the beginning all the way down to the end. And we were saying this was going to get messy before it got better. And like we said before, it's a shame that it took for this young lady to lose her life in the manner that she did for them to actually try to enforce something. We were saying if they did not let this fester on for so long the way that they did, it would not have even come to this. And the crazy part about it is, I have a feeling that Laken Riley will not be the last person that something like this happens to. I'm almost certain of it. Especially since, I was doing a series of lives called Migrant Madness, where I think, now don't quote me on this, where I think I actually briefly talked about this when this first happened. So that was the rundown right there. And again, shout out to everybody that's in the chat right now. If you haven't done so already, make sure to go ahead and hit the like button. So now that we've gone through that and we got a rundown of what happened to her and the consequences that are befalling the person who did it, let's move on. Brother Man, he said, first I said, he said, why did they wait so long? What do you mean? Like wait so long to convict the guy who did it? Oh, they actually didn't wait that long because this was actually pretty fast, considering that this happened this year. Like the guy murdered her in February and he just got sentenced to life in prison last week. So this actually was pretty fast, considering some cases take longer than that. Some don't get started into the following year. So this actually, they wrapped this up pretty fast, if that's what you're implying. So now that we've gotten through that, let's get to this part right here. Let me go ahead and share this and close this out. So this was the first post that I saw that made me want to do this live. And let me zoom in just a little bit so y'all can see it a little bit better. It's coming from this person named Eric Matheny. I'm guessing that's how you pronounce his last name, where he posted up this picture of Laken Riley, which ironically is the same picture I used in my thumbnail, and this is the thing that gets me every time. He said George Floyd got 4 televised funerals in 70 days of riots. What does Laken Riley get? When he said that, I said, here we go. Here we go again. They got to find a way to bring George Floyd up in some capacity, because again, these individuals are so upset. They are so mad that Derek Chauvin did not walk scot-free from what happened with George Floyd back in over 4 years ago. They are still wearing their heart on their sleeve about that situation. And like I said, make sure y'all are tuned in on Wednesday when I do my live, because George Floyd's name is going to come up so many more times on that live with the next topic live stream that I do 2 days from now. Why did you have to bring George Floyd into this? What happened to Laken Riley has nothing to do with George Floyd, but they found a way to bring George Floyd's name up into it anyway. And they said he got 4 televised funerals and 70 days of riots. Well, here's the thing, Eric, like many of his ilk, none of them spoke anything about Laken Riley when she first passed. I bet you if you was to ask them, what day did Laken Riley lose her life and in what state? None of them could tell you the day or the state in which she lost her life in. They jumped on the train late. They jumped on the train after the person who killed her was convicted. Mind you, he was convicted 5 days ago on the 20th of November. He killed this woman on February 22nd. And y'all are just now saying something. How is it that we knew about this and you didn't? And to the part about the 70 days of rioting, well, here's the thing. If y'all really felt anything for this woman and y'all are so outraged like you claim to be, why didn't y'all get out there and do something about it? See, this is how you know they do not have our fighting spirit at all. And it's crazy because when black people get out there and they protest behind something, here they're going to come online and saying, why are you out there protesting? Don't you got a job to go to? And here's the worst one. If they was out there and I was in my car, I'll run them over. And you know they said that. Didn't Ron DeSantis down in Florida implement something where they said you could just run protesters over if they're in your line of sight or something along those lines? So what was you expecting to happen? Oh, let me guess. You was expecting the black people to go out there and protest for this woman. That's probably what you were expecting. And even if they had, you would have still had something to say. Let's take it back to 2017 and with Heather Heyer at that Unite the Right rally or whatever that thing was in Charlottesville. It was someone out there who took their car and ran through that crowd of people and killed that white woman named Heather Heyer. I didn't see not one PC person out there literally protesting on her behalf. I saw a lot of black people though. So why didn't y'all do this here? Because you weren't going to do it. You had no plans to do it. This is as far as your outrage goes by bringing up George Floyd, saying he got 4 televised funerals and 70 days of riots. Well, if you feel that Laken Riley should have got 4 televised funerals, which would have been crazy, because why would you do that? And I'm sure the family would not have wanted that. They just wanted to get justice for their daughter, bury their daughter, and let her rest. Like I said, they're doing this because they're still upset about what happened with Derek Chauvin. That's really what it all boils down to. They still believe that this man is a hero. They're calling him that right now as I speak in the comment section of the post that I'm going to go over on Wednesday. You see these 8 notifications right there? All of them have been flooding the comment section on my thread from a post that I made yesterday, and they haven't stopped since. You'll see what I mean on Wednesday, though. Let's scroll down here and see what they're talking about in the replies. This person says it's a shame how our media and quote unquote criminal sympathizers have flipped the script over the last several years. Needs to be corrected ASAP. And someone, and Eric, the person who made the post, said, I sincerely hope the parasitic little ish who killed her gets taken out in prison. So now you want to say something. Now, here's the thing, Eric, why didn't you lead with this? This post right here that you made, why didn't you lead with that instead of putting this? Notice he cared more about mentioning George Floyd getting 4 televised funerals and 70 days of riots than saying this part right here, which would have been more appropriate if you was more outraged. But no, you put that as response to what someone else said. So that means, again, going back to what I put on the thumbnail, they really didn't care about her. Because if he would have led with that and left this part out of it. Let me continue. What else are they talking about? Shout out to Mighty Keith. He says, what does George Floyd have to do with anything with this? I'm so confused. Let me just click on that because I'm just curious. What it has 192 replies. Let's see what they're talking about here. Someone said one is a black dude and the other is a white woman, so naturally these boomers attack. Someone says, I think they are saying, why did an N-word get so much attention for his death, but not a Caucasian woman? Both deaths were senseless and undeserved, but why make it sound like a suffering Olympics? And that's really all it is. But they'll never say that. They'll never say that. They'll just keep on bringing up how George Floyd was a criminal. He didn't really die from the knee on the neck. It was from fentanyl overdoses because that's apparently, allegedly, what the coroner said. So let me get out of this one. And this one right here says she got exploited by the right. That's what she got, Eric. Exploited by the right. Hence why we're here today, because that's exactly what this Eric person who posted this is doing, exploiting her. And her family, to my knowledge, did not want this to happen. Unfortunately, I'm sure someone probably told them, we don't control the masses and how they think and how they react. Naturally, they're probably going to do that. Every time something happens to a white person in this establishment, I've noticed ever since George Floyd, when they lose their life in any fashion or capacity, they'll always bring George Floyd up as some kind of a benchmark as to why the white person didn't get this and why George Floyd got it. They've been doing that every single year since the end of May of 2020. Someone else said her killer got life without parole. I don't know what else you need. And not only that, remember I told you to put a pin in the Laken Riley Act. They're naming a whole act after her that's going to try to enforce it where they can make it easier to prosecute these illegals or these undocumented. So that's what they got. But it's not enough. They didn't do the pomp and circumstance with her. That's what they're upset about. Someone else says her killer was arrested and is going to jail forever. What exactly would you like to riot about? What did you think the George Floyd riots were about? Someone says, regardless of how you feel about Floyd, he was killed wrong. Why don't you start the outcry without using other people's stories? So there are people on here that are combating, thankfully, thank God, against what he tried to imply. Someone else says, why are y'all obsessed with George Floyd? I'm not even going to click on that to see what the responses were because we already know what it was. Oh, here's one right here from Christine. She says, don't forget about the 14-karat gold-plated casket. Someone else says she got justice. That's all that matters. And that's all that should matter. The person who did it is going to jail for life without the possibility of parole. That is what you should be thrilled about. It shouldn't have happened, but at least something was done. And it was done rather swiftly. Again, she got killed in the beginning of the year. He got convicted at the end of the year. That's fast. Convicted and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in the same year in which he did what he did. That is very, very fast, especially when you think of some cases take years to build up before even a trial beginning. Now, I think what made it swiftly is the fact that the person who did it opted for a bench trial instead of a jury trial. Now, if he opted for a jury trial, then of course it would have carried on because you got to go and pick the jurors, and that's another process. By him doing a bench trial, that's what made it go faster. And this post right here tells it all. Organize it. That's your people. Thank you to the person, they go by the name of Big Mama. They said, organize it. If you want to go out there and march and protest, you organize it. Why are you getting online and saying stuff about George Floyd? At least people went out and decided to go and protest. But like I said, it's all about the optics. It's all about, again, the pomp and circumstance. That's what they wanted for her. But you won't get off of X with your little blue check that you probably purchased, I don't know, and actually do something about it. So what do? Get on X and you post this. So I don't have to go through any more of those, but y'all get the picture. Now let me go over this next post right here, which sounds eerily similar to what Eric said. Now, Eric, again, he posted this on November 20th, 2024, which again was the same day that the man got convicted for what he did, and rightfully so. But then you have 4 days later where you have this person right here who has the Indian flag in their name and wrote something very similar to what Eric wrote. They said George Floyd, an African American man, was murdered by a police officer in Minneapolis, Minnesota on May 25th, 2020. Derek Chauvin sentenced to 22 and a half years for the killing of George Floyd. George Floyd got 4 televised funerals and 70 days of riots. What did Laken Riley get? So this person right here literally copied what that Eric Matheny dude, who I just went over, copied the ending of that post. The part right here where it starts with George Floyd. They literally posted that part and says, what does Laken Riley get? Well, you just wrote a major difference in your post. Derek Chauvin only got sentenced to 22 and a half years. He didn't even get life. At least Laken Riley's murderer got life in prison without the possibility of parole. If you ask me, she, as the victim, got the better end of the deal and got a whole act that I don't know if they're going to pass all the way, but at least they put something on the table. So what is this person talking about? Right, Miss Nisi, it's not a competition, but that's what they're treating it as. And I think this is extremely messed up. Like, you literally are using this woman's death to have oppression Olympics. And there's no correlation even to how they lost their lives. Derek Chauvin had a knee on his neck for what, 9 minutes? This woman was violated. She was strangled. She was basically tortured before she died. When it came to Derek Chauvin, it took 2 years to convict him. With this dude, it took them months. It was fast. Remember, Derek Chauvin died in 2020. I'm sorry, George Floyd died in 2020. Derek Chauvin went to trial in 2022 and got convicted 2 years later. Only 22 and a half years behind bars. The person who killed her got life. So again, I don't understand the correlation between the two. These bad faith arguments again goes back to one person and one person only who they have some weird hatred for, and that's George Floyd. And right now, they're doing the same thing with Jordan Neely and Daniel Penny. The same exact thing. Now, let's see what they're talking about here. Oh, look at this. We're starting it off heavy. George Floyd died of a drug overdose. How many times have we seen that? This one says, wrong. Floyd was not murdered by a cop. Someone else says, but it's all a lie. Floyd tacked out on drugs and a biased jury believed the lie. The ex-police officer is not guilty, and they wrote it in all caps. George Floyd was not murdered by a cop. He OD'd all on his own, and then they put fact behind it. Again, another one. Floyd died of an overdose. It was suicide. Do y'all hear this? Are y'all seeing this? What? Suicide? The autopsy report showed that George died from a fentanyl overdose. Floyd died of a drug overdose. You know what? I bet you if you go on the X and you type in George Floyd overdose, it would be a long list of a whole bunch of PC people literally saying the same thing that the people right here in this comment section are saying. Free Derek Chauvin. Oh, look at this. Look here. Justice and the media must be completely purged and put back on track. So they have George Floyd on this side with 24/7 media coverage. It says George Floyd, 46-year-old drug-addicted criminal killed while resisting arrest. On this side, it says media silence for someone named Kayler Ellington. I'm going to be honest with you. I never heard of this person. But it's an 18-year-old Republican. Look what they just did. They put 18-year-old Republican. Why did you put his political affiliation? What does his political affiliation have to do with him losing his life? This is why I titled it, How the Right Exploited Laken Riley's Untimely Demise. So what they're telling you is now that every time a white person loses their life, they are going to politicize it in some way. And if they find out that they are a Republican, they're going to tack on their political affiliation and say, well, this person didn't get the coverage because they're white and because they're a Republican. And you know how that leftist media is, you know, them being so woke and all. Is this 18-year-old Republican murdered for supporting Donald Trump? I don't even know how true that is. Now, can I believe that the person lost their life? Yes, but the reason they gave? No. George Floyd died of a fentanyl overdose. If Derek Chauvin had danced the waltz with him, he would still be dead. Someone else says, well, he wasn't murdered and the coroner's report verifies it. Derek is in prison due to leftist mob politics. He was not murdered. He was full of drugs and would have died anyway. He was an effing criminal. Laken Riley was brutally murdered by a dirty, evil immigrant. So it goes on and on and on. So you can, I don't have to continue reading any more into that. Y'all pretty much get the gist of it. And shout out to We Next, aka DSB. Excuse me, George Floyd was murdered by a racist cop. We all saw it. They can miss me. Exactly. Like, how are you going to try to tell us what is and what isn't? We all saw the video. They literally are telling us to not believe our eyes. They did the same thing with Jordan Neely and Daniel Penny. They're literally, you know what? I'm not going to go too much into that. I'm going to save that for Wednesday. Because that's going to be the topic on Wednesday. But yeah, for anybody who would like to come up, Tay fan said, how did the white, you talking about the person they were talking about? I don't know. That was my first time hearing about this person. It says that it says 18-year-old Kayler Ellington was killed in a vehicle ramming attack back in September of 2022. So that's how apparently he lost his life, was from that. But I never heard of this story. And you know what? We probably would have heard about it if, I don't know, say y'all would have talked about it. But at that time, they were still saying Derek Chauvin was innocent. And again, with the lie of George Floyd died of a drug overdose. See, when they care too much about our affairs, they turn a blind eye to the stuff that's going on with them. And it's crazy because they run the media. That's not our fault that we didn't know about this. Nor is it on us to talk about it either. And shout out to Miss Nisi. She said PCWS will hold on to a lie for dear life. They cannot accept reality. They can't. They simply cannot. All right, we got some people up here. Let's see who we got. Wallow, what's going on?
What's going on, Torian? What's going on, everybody in chat? This isn't, and I want people to understand, this isn't the first time they've done this to someone.
Oh no!
Huh?
Oh no! Oh, I was agreeing with you. This is definitely not the first time.
Cause you remember what happened to that girl? What was it in Indiana? What was it, either in Indiana or Iowa? You remember that case where the girl got killed at a farm or something like that by an immigrant? You remember that story? This was
I
during
don't know.
45. I can't remember what state it was. I don't know if anybody chat kind of remembers, but it was a case where a girl got killed, and the family was like, "Hey, y'all, we don't want this to be politicized," and they politicized it.
DSM said it was Iowa.
Yeah, yep. There we go. Iowa. I knew it was one of them. It was in Iowa. I remember. You remember that story?
I don't think I remember it.
I think this happened during while 45 was in office. If I'm not mistaken, I may pull the name up, and if anybody put it in the chat, then that's that. But like, this isn't the first time or the last they would do this. I don't know if you remember. It was a case in North Carolina with that black man. This was in my state. This was the same year as George Floyd. That black man killed that little boy. And that white woman was like, "Well, why isn't nobody riding over this little boy getting killed by this black man?" And then somebody was like, "They already arrested him in like 24 hours. They didn't arrest David Chauvin for almost 3 months. Man, even 3 weeks.
Exactly.
Excuse me, three like so." And I don't even know that case even got finished yet. The case in my state, but I don't even know. But anyway, these folks will sit up here and use these people, this girl. And first off, I will send my condolences to her family for what happened to her, because it was messed up. And if y'all not even gonna send your condolences to this girl's
Exactly. I'm
family,
glad you said that. Notice how the post started off. They didn't say we offer condolences to the family. They went right into George Floyd. That's the first thing, that literally one track, laser focused tunnel vision. That's the first thing they mentioned. And I noticed they typically do that a lot. They never start off with we offer condolences to the family. They never started off like that. They go right for their agenda.
yeah, because a lot of these folks online, they're heartless bastards. Like, you can't, like, come on now. This young girl was probably going to graduate that later on this year or next year, and you can't even send condolences to our family. You immediately go and attack, politicize this girl's death, this young girl's death, over what you want out of this political is sick. It's very sick and it's very disturbing. Then you wonder why things are happening the way it's happening to you. Like, nobody, like, it's a lot of these stories, and yeah, you've covered this on your on your migrant madness. Which you do need to talk about is that off topic. You do need to talk. Hopefully, you talk about what happened with the mayor of Denver said. I did ask Jerry Parris. He heard about what he said. So
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I saw that on X. You talking about when he said that he would die, he would die to keep the illegal immigrants here or something. It was something.
Yeah, he said he'll go to jail for the illegal.
Go to jail. Yeah, I saw that. I think I might have bookmarked that just in case I talk about it later. But I saw that. I was like, sir, are you sure that's the hill you want to die on, considering what happened in your city, in your state a couple months ago with that gang taking over the apartment complexes?
Yeah, because that was in the like suburbs
I say he must. I say he must not want to get reelected.
He must not. He political suicide. Go ahead and do it. Go do it. Ain't about us. Cause you risk people getting killed over your stupidity, over people who ain't supposed to be here. These folks ain't supposed to be here, and these folks still out here chilling for these folks. And these folks didn't they just not see what these folks voted for, and that them Hispanics voted in the election? They don't fuck with y'all. And y'all still out here chilling for these folks. Is stupid. It's stupid on top of stupid. You just can't comprehend it. Neither one of them are smart, and it's just a whole, like Miss Nisi would say, it ain't nothing but a goddamn shit show. But I'm gonna land my plane there, Torian. B1.
B1. Shout out to Wallow J, and let me go ahead and acknowledge the couple of super chats that I did get in. Shout out to the fundraiser for the 5. He said, funny how the white Republicans didn't give her family anything. All these white people gave more money to Trump than any of the white right. Again, like when I was going through those comments, a lot of them did not even know about this until last week. We knew about this when it first happened. But again, what were they doing at the time? They were constantly doing the whole, because that's at the time when the campaign was really revving up around that time, with everybody and whatnot. And that's all they was focused on. They could care less. Shout out to John for the 2. They said Derek Chauvin was convicted on April 20th, 2021. Okay. So he was convicted that okay. Like I said, it's so much that happened. I forget. But either way, that's still less time. I mean, more time since Laken Riley's murderer. He got convicted like the same exact year. Like it was very swift. But again, I think it's because he waived the rights to have a jury trial. And also shout out to DSB for gifting a membership to Jesse Paris, and also he gifted another membership. I don't know where that one went because I don't see it in the chat. But anyway, let's move on to the next one. AW1, what's going on?
Hey, Torian. Yeah, man. First off, I'm gonna say to the last talker, Wallow J, that's his name.
Yeah,
he was on point on a lot of what he said, and of course, Miss Easy, what she said in her super chat, she was on point.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, back to all right, but yeah, it's ridiculous. I'll be the first to say condolences to her, since the rest of these fools don't want to do it. Condolences. Yeah, so condolences to that Riley lady. It's unfortunate what happened. But since we're on the George Floyd and Derek Chauvin, I'm gonna tell you like this: it's kind of worse too because he's a police officer. He's supposed to serve and protect. She was just killed by some lunatic. Which I'm not saying it is serious, but Derek Chauvin is a police officer.
One can argue that Derek is a lunatic. He just happened to be wearing a badge.
Exactly. Well, yeah, he's a lunatic with a badge. There you go. Yeah. And not to mention, don't forget about the 18 complaints that he had, which Candace, of course, as you coined it, the Coonstress didn't break up in her stupid documentary.
Of course,
the 18 complaints that he had.
She had an agenda. She had an agenda to push.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and get paid. And it's funny how she calls people grifters, yet she sold T-shirts in that documentary, got money off of that. So okay.
Yeah, of course.
No, I mean, but we should let her back in. Yeah, nah, I'm good.
Oh no.
Stay over there.
Listen, no, she was never in to begin with. I always tell people, Candace was never over here to begin with. Remember, she had that quote unquote blackest week ever at the end of February. Ironically, the same week that this happened. Now, why didn't Candace talk about that? Because I don't remember Candace bringing this up.
Oh wow, that's a good. She didn't talk about that. Oh, that's a good point.
I do not remember her bringing this up.
Oh, maybe she was too busy talking about the disabled people, pissing off people like Christina Applegate. I think that's her name, right? Who played Kelly Bundy.
Yeah.
And she got checked. And you know that she apologized to her.
Oh, because the thing is, Christina Applegate had gave her a warning, and Candace kept doing it, and then Christina said, "Okay, the warning's off the table. I tried to be nice. Now I gotta take the gloves off and put everything on the table and say what it is." And then, well, you see what happened.
Right, exactly. I mean, she's just a load. She's just evil. She's just evil. Oh man, but back to this case. I mean, people talk about Twitter, right? How it is a cesspool. But you know what? The good thing about it for us, I guess, it just exposed that racism is still here. Because, you said, the N-word jumped up to 500%.
When Elon bought it,
right? So if anything, I'm kind of glad he bought it. Cause it exposed that. Yeah, it's still here, folks. But yeah, but I'm gonna land my plane there, man. B1 Torian into the chat, and shout out to Miss DC again. All right, man.
B1. Shout out to AW1 for coming on up. I already know who this person is, but I'll let them entertain you just because of the picture they decided to put up and the name they decided to use as well. That was quick.
Aren't you supposed to tell folks about how white people are being harmed in this country and how we should get reparations because we're white? Sir, why is it you black people always make it about race?
And as I can say, dramatic as KG is being right now, that's exactly how they be sounding on X. For those of you who are not on X, that's exactly how they be talking.
We mentioned her. when he got convicted. Is that not enough for you people? And I say that in the affirmative. You people. Wait till you see the videos I got coming this week.
Wait till you see the live I do about Daniel Penny on Wednesday. Just based off of that,
I'm gonna watch it on the playback.
Just based off of the post that I made that I was telling people, like, it's like people are they're still going at it. I posted it up yesterday, and they're still going at it almost like 24 hours later. They're still going. But I said that's fine, because I'm looking at the responses and I'm like, y'all about to go on this Summer Jam screen.
Yes,
I low key be wanting to hope their employers be watching it so they can see who they working with.
Well, their employer is Elon, so it's all right. But yeah. So between this, my thing with RFK dropping tomorrow, and then my other one dropping on Thanksgiving, yeah, this is not gonna be a happy Thanksgiving for these folk. But yeah, Laken Riley, like I said in the chat, they were getting their energies ready because they thought it was one of us that did it. You see Georgia, you see a college, you figured it was probably a relationship that went bad. And then when they found out it was him.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about that. They did at first think that it was a black person that did it. I forgot about that.
Right, because they first thought it was a black janitor. Most people don't even know that.
Yeah,
they thought it was a black janitor at first.
Yeah, they thought, because, like you said, because it happened in Georgia, they say, oh, it's a lot of black people in Georgia. I said it's a lot of black people in Atlanta.
But
this was not this was not Atlanta.
Right. It's a college town, but still. But yeah, they thought it was a black janitor, then they thought it was one of the co-eds. I was like, bro, we ain't that stupid. But we're gonna find out. And then we found out. As soon as they found out it was an illegal immigrant, they were quiet. Because remember, that was also around the time when, remember, the old boy down in Texas did what he did, and he was identified as white supremacist.
Oh, you talking about the one in Uvalde?
No, the one in Allen, Texas.
See, listen, it's so much stuff that be going on. It's almost like we got to.
Yeah, it's the one that did the deletions at the strip mall in Allen, Texas. That was right around that same time. So they was real quiet, especially when they found out it wasn't illegal. He's like, we hope he don't identify as white. But that's them. They love destruction, and they have no empathy. And before I go, I'll say this. You remember that video where that woman told her daughter if she ever gets in trouble to go do what? Find a black man.
Find a black man. Yep,
I did.
I'm about to do a video on that.
Yep. So there you go. That's them. But anyway, I'm going to let you get other people. I'm going to go count how many curse words I said in this upload. But it's going to be members only, so I'll get around it.
All right.
Yeah.
Shout out to KG for coming up. And before I bring up the next person, shout out to DSB for the 5. They said that last membership went to AM Ray. Sorry, her YouTube behind this stuff. Pay like they always say. Okay, I see. And I see AM Ray is right there in the chat. She acknowledged, or they acknowledged. I'm not sure if that's a man or a woman, but yes, that I see him right now. Appreciate you. All right, y'all. Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know who about to come to the stage. You know who about to sweep up to the stage. Who about to blow up to the stage. Hurricane Niecy.
Good evening, Tori, and good evening, family in the chat.
Good evening.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
Oh, trust me, Miss Niecy. You haven't seen that's why I keep hyping up Wednesday. You haven't seen nothing. If you thought this was something, woo! Wait until Wednesday. But go ahead.
Well, I tell you, my condolences to Laken Riley's family. PC gon' PC. They thrive on fuckery and wretchedness. They are evil to the core. But their time is coming. I'm a firm believer. You reap what you sow. And for the time being, we as foundational Black Americans, let them do what they do. We got our own business to handle. My thing is, capes off. Let them wear their own capes. That's their shit. Let them deal with their shit. We got our own shit to deal with. From here on out, we as a people need to be selfish. If it ain't FBA, fuck it. And fuck you too. That's how I feel.
There it is.
All right, my baby. As always, love you. Be blessed.
You too. Shout out to Miss Nisi. And next up, we got Jonathan. What's going on?
What's going on, man?
I caught you at the right time because I saw you in the video and you was inside. I said he's outside, and I said good. That means it won't be that much noise.
Yeah. You know when you that gym, the 24-hour fitness, they got that loud ass music on. So I knew if I was gonna get on here, I would have to step outside for a bit. But yeah, er, this just show how much even they don't even care for their own. You know what I'm saying? Like first off, let me say this: condolences to Mr. Laken Riley's family. You know that's mental what happened to her, and she ain't the first one that experienced it. There's a lot of female joggers who got killed by these psycho stalkers that's come out of nowhere and like killing them, unprovoked for no reason. You know what I'm saying? You got serial killers like that. Laken Riley, she happened to be also be that next victim, and it happened to come from an immigrant. But but I can see why the news didn't pick up on it because the person wasn't black. Because the person was black, we would have probably heard about it as the time go on. It'll be shut down, but then it'll start coming back.
And
Shut
it's
down, but
crazy.
start coming back.
And it's crazy you said it because what KG just said, that initially that's the narrative they were trying to push before we even found out who did it. And because they wanted the person to be black so bad. And I say it's so hypocritical of them because these are the same ones that sit up here and say they want to get rid of and deport all these illegals. But here you have an illegal who's been there since 2022 who did this to this woman, and you didn't say a word. You said
Exactly.
nothing.
And look, and when they realized it was an immigrant and it wasn't a black person, you know what they had to do? They had to bring George Floyd into this. So it's like, damn, this person wasn't black, so fuck it, let's bring George Floyd as a comparison. And this was their perfect way to compare it. Because why are you worrying about what kind of treatment this man have when somebody from your own kind that died and they got justice? Who cares about a freaking televised funeral and a gold casket? That was all on their
Exactly.
mind. But basically, they wanted that same thing for her. They want that same world treatment that we get. They claim we're like this bad race, but whatever we get that's good, they want that same thing. And when they don't get what we have, they have to come up with all this kind of BS and throw in, certain black folks that live in their head rent free because George Floyd lives in the head rent free because they bring them up every time a white person gets killed unjustly, and, and they um and they gotta come up with this the difference between this person and George Floyd, that person and George Floyd. It just keep going on and on and on nonstop, and and I keep hearing it all the time. He died from fentanyl. Well, you know what? Maybe if they have a knee on their neck, I bet that if one of their own had a knee on their neck and they died from it, they wouldn't be saying that. They wouldn't be saying, "Oh, he died from fentanyl." They know dang well they wouldn't be saying
Right.
that.
Yeah, because the thing is, when if someone was to die of a drug overdose, it's going to be literally from that. Like they made it seem like the man was in crisis before he encountered Derek Chauvin. He wasn't. He wasn't having an episode. He wasn't strung out or anything like that. He was pretty coherent. And they decided, oh, because he had a little bit of something in his system, they're taking that and they're running with, oh, it had to be that. It just had to be that. I bet if it was up to them, if George Floyd was drug free and he had cancer, they'll say, oh, it wasn't the knee on the neck, it was cancer. And he could have been in the first stage of it. He could have been getting treatment, but they would have said, oh no, it was the cancer that did it, not the knee to the neck for nearly 9 minutes. Let them tell it.
Well, you can't really die from cancer unless you reach the fourth stage.
Yeah.
Because first stage is like hoping to like get it treated before it starts to get worse. But as you don't realize it, and then you start allowing it to reach to the higher stage, that's when you see your life fading away. But if you get the treatment to prevent it, then yeah, possibly you'll stay on the first level, probably get rid of it. But it's just first stage. It's not you can't die from a first stage if it got to work its way up to the higher stage. So these people ain't gonna know what they're talking about. Even if they do know if it's true, it's always us that they got to come up with something that sounds stupid. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man, like first thing. That's what I'm saying. The first thing, and this is not the first time I heard this. This is the second time they went straight into it, like to the comparison of George Floyd without saying condolences to their own kind. Like the lady's dead. She got killed, and y'all can't even say condolences to this woman's family. You just had to go straight to the why. How come George Floyd got these television got his funeral televised in a gold casket? Like you worry about that when someone from your kind got killed by an immigrant, and then you say no condolences. She gets justice. She gets a life, while Chauvin will be getting off by two in the 2040s. You wanna you still wanna worry about why these two why George Floyd's funeral was special treated. See, they only care about special treatment. They care about royalties. They don't even care about their own like that. If they can't have what we have, it ain't enough for them. Even if they do get justice, it's not enough. Fakest constant patriots ever.
That's why I call them fake triots.
Yeah, you call them fake patriots. I call them constant patriots. So, because they just sick like that. All right, man. I'm gonna let my plane right there, man. I'm finna go finish this workout. I gotta be at work by 9. Let's get
All right.
talking to you again.
All right. Appreciate you coming up. All right, shout out to Jonathan for coming up. Let me see. I got to scroll back up because I got a super chat and a couple other things. Shout out to Tom Slick for the 20. He said, well, I like that comment. I think he was referring to what Miss Nisi was referring to. Shout out to AW1 for being a member of the channel for 30 months. He said, Miss Nisi is a poet. We got also DSB gifted another membership to someone. Oh, okay. I see who it went to. It went to the Inspired Truth broadcast. I don't know why it doesn't pop up there. I just got to see it if someone acknowledges, but I think it was the Inspired Truth broadcast. Okay. All right. I don't think there's going to be anybody else that's going to come up and speak, but shout out to everybody that did come up and speak and gave their input about this right here. But I just had to talk about this. Like this was annoying. Like, but more so than it being annoying, it was very disrespectful to not only the life of Laken Riley, but also to her family, her parents, her mom, her dad, her stepdad, any siblings that she might have had, her friends, anyone who knew her. It was just very disrespectful to take that and do this. But understand that this, unfortunately, will not be the last time they do it. As long as the name George Floyd is floating around in the ether, they are going to do it. They're always going to do it because he's now the new linchpin. He's the new benchmark for them. You know how they always kept bringing up OJ at one point in time? Now it's no longer OJ. It's George Floyd. And you know how long they kept bringing up OJ? How many years they kept bringing him up? Decades. So I expect that to happen for the next couple of decades, unfortunately, until there's something else that happens to replace George Floyd. And it would have to be very catastrophic because what happened with George Floyd back in 2020 definitely took the world by storm. But anyway, y'all, I'm going to go ahead now and get ready to end this live. Thanks again to each and every person that came to the chat. And also shout out to everybody a part of the replay game that couldn't catch it for whatever reason. Y'all can catch the replay. We will be back on Wednesday. There won't be any kind of commentaries tomorrow, no lives or anything like that. Then we'll be back on Wednesday with the 10 o'clock premiere and the 6 p.m. Live. So definitely be on the lookout for that one. And with that being said, y'all enjoy the rest of your day, and I will talk to you again on Wednesday. Be safe and be one.